Good evening to you all, and thank you very much for being here. I'm doing well, thank you. Good to see you, Dan. Good to see you, AMT. I'm glad you enjoy this as well. This is a good time, isn't it? So I'm really excited for this one. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you very much for being here and making it what it is and making it a good time. This is the big one. I'm deliberating now my top 10. This is the top 10 as was the last time I did this. So something has got to go from this, and there might be a bit of a movement around. I've got all 10 of these, and I've got a whole bunch more to have a good look at and a good discuss today. So I'm excited for that. What do you think? What do you think I'm going to pick as the number one? It's kind of a bit of a showdown, and I still haven't finally made up my mind. It might sound like I'm being hyperbolic there. It might sound like I'm over the top. No, honestly, something you say tonight might actually change my mind about what is going to be top. And right now you can see I've got the Supernote Manta, and gone is the A5X2 part of the Manta name, and we'll talk about that a little bit as well. Let's go ahead and fire into this one as well. I'm going to stop and I'll get into the chat after little sections as usual. But, I've been teasing this for a little while, and maybe I ought to have done the full review first. But the Tab X C is certainly a contender. That is the Boox Tab X C here. It's the big new color ink from Boox, and yeah, it is an absolute banger. There is no denying it. And I'm going to compare these two in quite a bit of detail later on, and discuss what I think about them and whether I think one of these is going to be the top one or what's it going to be. I've also just put on my channel, I've also just put a poll. So you can feel free to go to that and you can vote for what you think is going to be number one, which one you think I should make the number one there. I'm not going to just live by that poll. I'm going to make up my own mind and give you my best choice there rather than sort of be guided by that. But you let me know, because I might be influenced and somebody might write something in there as well that just influences me. Can you let me know, by the way, that everything's running smoothly, because I'm noticing quite a bit of slowdown on my computer here. But so far we've had just 10 votes on that little poll, but people are saying there's a different number one, and more people are saying the Manta than are saying the Tab X C. This is the Supernote Manta. This is the Tab X C on this side. Just open up and show you the glorious full color screen there as well. But I mean, you got to think about what these are designed for. I do think that there is a right e-ink tablet for you, and that's probably a different right e-ink tablet for me. And that was the name of my little vertical live stream. Have you seen my little horizontal vertical live stream that I did earlier on? Just had a good time walking about, making some content earlier on, and thought that I would just jump on a live, because it's something I used to love doing. I'm going to do some more about that. I am just torn. I am still torn between these two, and I'm not just making that up. I do think it's very difficult to choose which one of these two is going to sit at that number one. We will see. Okay. And I think they're different use cases. I said, I think that certainly the Supernote Manta is the superlative choice for handwriting experience, and the Boox right now is the superlative choice for word processing. So I think that they're actually quite different for that reason. Quick look into the chat. How do I afford these? I don't afford them. These are generally sent to me. I sometimes buy gear that I want to review, but generally companies send things out to YouTube reviewers to have a little to have a look at and produce a review. They don't stipulate anything. They don't say you have to say these things. If that's ever the case with a YouTube reviewer, I'm included in that. If we're paid to advertise things that sometimes, then you'll see that disclaimer being in the video as well. So yeah, it's not a case of me only buying these things for review. Some people, the way that a lot of reviewers get started, if you want everyone to start this, is some people, they buy things, try them out, return them, or sell them after they've tried them out for a bit. So you sell it kind of nearly new. You don't lose a lot of money if you wanted to go down that route. But generally, just if you fancy reviewing something, reach out to the company and build up a bit of a reputation, and you start to be kind of invaluable. And the way it also works monetarily is, of course, we have links in our description, which just helps out, because if you do decide one of these, any one of these is for you, or decide to leave it and come back in the future, maybe, then an affiliate link means that we earn small commissions that way as well. So it's not rude at all. Oh, I have suspicions which one you will choose, but won't tip you either way. Interesting. Warm welcome, Alexandra. Good to hear from you from Kyiv as well. Vlad is here. Great to see you. Glad to let me know that one is there. How to vote. So if you go onto my channel, just click through onto my channel briefly, or on a different tab or something like that, or a different device, and you'll see on the posts or community, it's sometimes called now, tab on my channel, you should see there is a post there with a little vote there as well. And interestingly, I did mention, by the way, you can now comment on other people's channels. Some people, and mine is really weird, because you can comment on my channel, but I have no way to actually see the comment or actually comment on your comment. So that's really quite annoying, isn't it? That actually you can comment on my channel, which is great. I love that idea, that there's a kind of community building effort there. I really do think that's a cool thing, but I just can't see them anywhere. So I know they're happening because I can see an indication in my studio, but I can't interact with them for some reason. Glad you're all here. So many options out there, very helpful in your choice. Ultimately, I chose the Manta, great. Already have a computer with 20-hour battery. The ink was to have a paper substitute. Yes, very interesting point there. This is, somebody mentioned this earlier, this is like the best paper you can buy. And I think that's a good point. Really is good. Glad you're here for the voice as well. So let's fire back in. Okay, so the reason I have given it to the Manta in the past is because it's just so much better for the core use of e-ink, for writing, for handwriting. It just seemed to me this was what an e-ink tablet should be. And I just really love the way that they've actually organized this. I really just think that there's something, so it's not intuitive, but once you get used to it, it makes sense why they do it there. It's just right there. However, you can't type on it very well. And the Boox is all about, for me, it's all about that. Not necessarily the keyboard case, but it's all about that place that you can use for your word processing. You can go into Word, or you can go into Google Docs, and you can manage your text, you can manage your work in that kind of way. I do think that is really very, very good. The keyboard case, a little bit to be desired, certainly at the price, but you know, it is generally a pretty darn good experience of working with Microsoft Word, for example. As one example of how you might word process on it. There's some really cool comments that I will get to, so don't worry about that, but I'm going to plow on as well. But the note taking is so much better on the Supernote. So the Supernote, not great for managing different apps. The Boox Tab X C, great for managing different apps. For typing and processing words, this isn't so great. You know, you can't do things like the split screen mode, which I just think is absolutely brilliant on such a large e-ink screen here. The fact that you can have words sitting next to a reference document, you can move words, copy and paste between the two like you would on a computer, but with the comfort of e-ink. I think that is a great point. Actually, you will remember to be selected in. And e-ink is comfortable, and I have been looking at putting screens on your face recently and working on these screens, and I don't find them anywhere near as comfortable as working on the e-ink. So I do quite a bit of that. But you know, it's not for reading. This is for reviewing big documents. It might be for reading big comics and things like that. But this is your place for just your notebook replacement. And lots of people have said to me recently, well, you don't choose, you just buy both because they are different. I was looking at the NASA things recently. Did you see that? The video entitled something along the lines of the best e-ink tablet you can choose. The best color e-ink gets right now. And I was looking at these NASA images. I don't know if it'll go straight into that NASA book here in the Book Fusion. And I just thought, gosh, it just looks absolutely incredible. And I compared it to the big poster that I've got on the wall. And I just thought, yeah, this is just something absolutely stupendous. I think I might need to rotate that in here. And just do a refresh You know, this is the deep field image, and that is looking really, really good there. That's every single dot on this. If you're not familiar, that's Hubble's image. Every single dot on that is another galaxy. Okay, well, I don't want to get digressing into my day job there by teaching you any physics right now. That's not what we're here to do. Okay, come on, stay focused. But I mean, it just looks amazing. The color ink on there looks amazing. They're very different for that reason. And that's the way to delineate between the two. If you really want to know which one you should pick, ask yourself, are you looking for a notebook replacement? This is just light and thin like paper, slips in and out your bag like paper. Or are you looking for more like a Android tablet to do all those extra things and reading? You can read the big professional things. You can look at the amazing color content, all of those instead. Just a little aside, by the way, I don't know if you all received an email if you're on the Supernote mailing list, but they have changed their names, and now they will no longer be calling these A5X2, and they will be more often referring to this as the Supernote Manta only. Okay, and they've said that when they release a Manta 2, it won't be called the A5X3, it will be the Supernote Manta 2. And what they will do is they will use the X to refer to which motherboard you've got. So the X1, if you like, or the X was the original A5 and A6X. This has the X2 motherboard, which if I show you on the Nomad Crystal, that thing in there, that processor and SoC in their system on chip, that is the X2 in there. And actually you could take that out of this, and you could put in an X3. So this is their modular approach. Maybe you decide in a little while that actually the upgrade that Supernote make, it's not the new body you need, it's not the new screen that maybe comes out, but maybe what you need is a new motherboard. For whatever reason you want to get that, you can upgrade the motherboard without changing everything else. Or vice versa, you could buy the shell from the next one, and you could go ahead and upgrade and take your motherboard over to it, and it'd just be the exact same device over there. Anyway, so that's the thing. This is now their two sort of sizes. The Nomad is their more portable one, and then the Manta is their still very portable, larger one. So I'm guessing they won't have an A4X2 as they discovered. They will give it some other name if they do go ahead and bring out a big one like that. Okay, so that's that. What I'm going to do today, I'm going to give you a bit of a rundown of the main points of all these. I've covered them in a lot of detail, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time going into too much detail on all of them. I'm going to spend most of the time up at that top end deliberating between these two. And the new devices that I need to add in, I'm going to look at. There are the smaller, and I wondered whether I should call these e-ink tablets. And I guess we could say, couldn't we, that they're kind of tablets because they have pens now, these little 7-inch guys. Really like these. Are they going to fit into that top 10? Let's find out today. And we could call them a tablet, I think, because they're pen enabled. That could just be the sort of delineation. But I think I will also do a top 10 e-readers. And I think I'll put the smartphones in that group as well, or do that at least in the same live stream, because there aren't 10 of those yet. So we will see. Yeah. Can I recommend these 7-inch guys? The what's this one again? This is the Color Gen 2. Can I recommend them over any of these on this list? I think the answer is no. I think, if I'm honest, can I recommend, would I prefer to have a Tab Mini C? I'm going to move some bits and bobs about and give you a bit more room to see what's going on. Would I recommend either of these over any of these over the Tab Mini C? I think probably, and that's the 10th one on there already. I think probably the answer is no, given the Tab Mini C has the larger screen, the full color. I wish I could say it had a better processor than them, because it doesn't. It has a better processor than the Bigme. Incidentally, I had a really good time with the Bigme today. It was really good. I had it strapped onto my my monopod with my camera, and it was my full sun like notes for my video content that I was reading out, and I was working on it. And it was really good because I could access, without having to go into my hotspot and things like that, I could access all of the things in OneNote on here and in docs as well. I could access all those things. So I had my notes in the glorious full sun on this wonderful color ink screen, and I could read off this whilst I was making my video today. So it works really, really well because it has the 4G, of course, the Bigme. But the pen is absolutely tragic. It's just broken, I think, the pen. I don't think there's anything good to say about it. I wondered if it's not charging properly. I wonder if I've got a faulty one. But Bigme, oh, there you go, it started working, but you see it missed something. Oh, it's doing that writing thing without touching at the minute. Yeah, that's a new way that it's broken. So no, can't recommend that over the Tab Mini C. And then the little Boox guys, great readers, really fast actually, really good processors. And I have, as you can see, I've been using it for my notes. But just today, unfortunately, it did this funny thing. Can you see those dotted lines it was making? So it seems to have stopped now. And also what you mainly see on this page is some physics working out. And I don't know if you can see, but it's really difficult to see. Try and delete that with the Smart Scribe thing. Smart Scribe seems to be really temperamental on here as well. You know, the scribble out thing, scribble to erase. I hate that. I hate that scribble out to erase thing. I mean, can you tell what that number is? It's a, you know, tiny little multipliers. I think that it only matter. I think that was a -18 up there. I think it's 6.408 times 10 to the -18, but I only know that because it's my loosely rendered handwriting there. But great e-reader, just not better than the Tab Mini C in this group, so it isn't going to get into the top 10 of these. And the color one is just a similar story. I've actually been using the black and white more than the color one. No reason for that at all, but just because that's what I've been testing out. So there we are. Other things not on the list, and then I'll look at the chat again. There's no Bigme on this list, okay? And the reason there's no Bigme on this list is not because Bigme are bad. It's not any shade on them really. It's just that I think that the Highbreak Pro is really the only device that I currently recommend of theirs. I think the Ink Note used to have a spot on this list, and the various Ink Notes you could get were quite mainstays of this. But I think they just lost the plot with the 1051C stuff. There's loads of different versions of that, and the styluses weren't right. They weren't working very well. They have to get styluses. They've never got styluses right, really. It used to be that thick pen, but at least it worked, and now it just seems to be broken. Although my mum is using an S6 color and enjoys that for lots of different things, lots of different reasons she likes working with that. Nice feel on that. Yeah, generally a nice device, that. But for her, there's just no replacing her Kindle Oasis for reading right now. There's no Fujitsu on this list. Part of that is I haven't tried the Fujitsu, and partly because, well, the Kobo Ellipsa 2 used to be on the list, but it's got knocked off by the Kindle Scribe and the Tab Mini C there. I think it doesn't have the Wacom EMR, so that's a difficult thing for it. It never was a tablet really great, large reader, a bit like the Kindle Scribe, but yeah, it's not going to beat out what's there already. There's no Remarkable 2 on this list, of course, although I think there probably is a spot waiting for a Remarkable 3 at some point as well. There is a Remarkable Pro on here, however, and we'll talk about that. I've been asked about that quite a bit of time. iFlyTech contacted me several times and asked to make a video, but they're only interested in sending me the thing if I'd agree to say their things. So, you know, just not interested in that for e-ink tablets. It's not, you know, they don't want to pay to give me the device for in exchange for saying their marketing speak, which, you know, that's not really my role in the world, is it? Okay. Voya, though, my deep guide has bought one just to be able to test it out. So check that if you need an independent look at the iFlyTech. There's no Viwoods Mini. Now, Viwoods Mini, again, could be close on the heels of this, but why no Viwoods Mini? I just felt like when I was using this, I felt like it wasn't living up to its bigger sibling, really. the fact that it just has no, you know, they've gone for a front light, but the front light they've gone for is this single color cold front light. So that's horrible. So that you work with that right off all the time. You don't want any of that. Then it's got this like deeply sunken screen. I don't even think it's a 300 ppi. I think it's a very old e-ink tablet, e-ink panel here. And I just think that the Viwoods itself is like right at the top of the tree in terms of the technology that you can get. But the Viwoods Mini, yeah, it just hasn't lived up to the same sort of standard. So there we go. I think that's all I really need to say. The hardware just isn't there with it. It's still a nice thin device, and I think possibly if you were looking at Viwoods, well, no, I wouldn't recommend going for this and the other one. I just don't know why it isn't just a shrunken down version of the Viwoods, because the Viwoods, which we'll talk about later, is good. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start from the premise. This is how I'm going to run it. I'm going to start from the premise that it's probably going to be these two devices squaring off at the end. That's going to be my sort of operating idea to begin with. It's probably going to be the Manta versus the Tab X C squaring off for the top spot at the end, but we will see. And what I'll do is I'll work forward from the bottom, and I'll think, is anyone getting up? Is any of these devices like improving enough, or are they getting towards the top? And then we can see whether we can, whether we need to enter another one into this kind of debate. And you guys obviously think that there is. So tell me which ones though, because I've got on my poll here, I've got 45% saying the Manta is still the core champion, 18% saying Tab X C. So where's my Tab X C fans out there? And there's another number one is 36. So now the Manta is leading, but what are those 36% saying is their number one? That's what we need to know. Note Air 4C and Tab X C, Note Max, Viwoods ePaper, they're the ones being sort of mentioned on there. So we'll see. We will see there. And yeah, let's have a little look at the chat just now. I'm going to take myself just a moment to have a little look at the chat, and then we'll get going and go through the top 10 that are there. Thanks so much for being here. This is awesome. What a good time. Thanks so much for being here and spending time with me on this live stream. I really enjoy engaging with you guys and answering your questions live. It's a massive support to me. Now, if you do decide that one of the devices that I review here on my channel is for you, then go ahead and check the links in the description, because when you make a purchase through a YouTuber's affiliate links, you make it possible for us to keep making content for you. Awesome. So yeah, we're looking, Jay's here. Hello, Jay. Good to see you. Great to see some members on this stream as well. This is Jay's listing, Note Max and Tab X C tied at the top. Yeah, it's a great device, Note Max. Manta, yeah. Tab Odyssey Pro, Go 10.3, Nomad, ePaper, Go 7 and Go 7 Cover 2 is right there, ePaper Mini. So no place for the Remarkable there for you as well. I don't think the others rank. Interesting. Doesn't matter which one he chooses. No, absolutely. One is always going to be, one is always looking for the perfect one, which of course doesn't exist. Ah, the e-ink seduction. Yeah, Michael, I know what you mean there, my man, because when they released the Tab X C, part of their marketing was everything you've ever wanted. And then everyone was like, but I wanted Wacom art, didn't I? So there we are. So yeah, it's not perfect. It was so close to being perfect, really, wasn't it? But then that size is not perfect as well, because carrying it around was less portable. I presume Word is the Android version rather than the PC or the Word. Yeah, it's the Android version, absolutely, that we were using there, which is annoying because just, you know, you've got this keyboard, but you just can't use all of the shortcuts that you're used to using on a computer. And I'm waiting for that e-ink PC experience to be a good time. Does Tab X C perform better than the Odyssey Pro in terms of CPU, power, and responsiveness? I think it was, I had that in some of my original content. I can't remember the exact scores. I need to get those, compare those. Drawing, Excalibur Draw, I'm not familiar with that app, but I imagine that won't respond well with the pen because nothing really does. But yeah, Jay says they're about the same because they're similar SoC. Yep. But what I noticed was when I was comparing the BSR performance of the Tab X C versus the Ultra C Pro. I'm gonna have a little look at that actually now because it just updated itself just a little while ago. I noticed that the performance was actually better on the newer device in terms of the anti-ghosting algorithm, the BSR. So whether actually they could update this to just do the exact same thing would be pretty cool to see, wouldn't it? It's got a whole other update as well. So obviously, no, it's still updating in the same way. So actually, the Tab X C was performing better in the ghosting, but yes, they're really good. They're both really high performing tablets. Why can Boox not have a baby? Yeah, I want Supernote's software and pens, remarkable hardware, including the keyboard, Boox versatility, with some other bits. Yeah, okay, absolutely. That's the thing. I think that's fun of the discussion, really, isn't it? But yeah, I agree. Having a bad time with Ultra C Pro, it has remnants, or not just the company says it's just what it is. You regret buying it. Yeah, I don't know whether you're getting them in the color area. The thing about color e-ink is it does show up white ghosting. What I want you to do is I want you to go into your normal mode in your e-ink center, and I want you to find more. I'll show it on the thing here. Okay, and I want you to up the animation filter time to anything above 1,500, anything around that. Okay, and the reason for that is, okay, you're still going to get it in the balance mode, but now if you look in a HD mode when you're maybe in a PDF or something like this, you'll actually see. So it's only one page of this, so I don't know which book to show you this on, but you'll actually see the images will do better and you won't get quite so much color ghosting when you're in that HD mode. Surely we've got a page with images here. No, that's a book about Bramante with no images. Can't be right. Yeah. So did you get that? So if you're struggling with a Boox tablet, go into the e-ink center and change the HD mode to in more, increase this animation filter time. It's set at 50 by default, and you get a lot of color ghosting when it does that, but set it up at anything above 1,500 and it will perform better. Okay, so I hope that helps, DJ. Try that out before you check that out. Yeah, so that's what Jay says. Great help, Jay. I've been looking forward to it too, my buddy, absolutely. Boox doesn't make Tab Mini C anymore. It's not even listed in the tablet choices. Yeah, maybe they're coming out with a 7.5. I will hope so. Yep, Tab Mini C, first generation BSR, ghosting is still pretty bad. Also, the battery, I think, is pretty bad on that as well. Carter 1300, yeah, Note Mini would be amazing. Same class of, yeah, this is like an absolute wish list here. That you know, that could be the device of the future. Really, I'm actually, you know, I think not having had a 7.8 that I've been using regularly recently has really told me that maybe, sorry, maybe I missed that sort of size and form factor and being really good. And I was really hopeful that the Viwoods was going to be good, the mini Viwoods, but it just kind of wasn't. So I think what you've described there, Jay, would be a really top quality device, wouldn't it? Let's have a look. Note Max would tempt me, or a Note Air 5C Max. Yeah. It's just all the things. Right. There's lots and lots and lots of cool comments. Been seeing some really, I mean, this is just kind, isn't it? Thanks so much, Javier. Appreciate you being here. What device do you think most supports software frequent updates? Yeah, that's something I was going to talk about, actually. We're very lucky, aren't we? We're very lucky that we have these companies that don't just sort of produce their devices and then dump them. They actually improve things as they go, and they improve the software as well. So that would be the thing. Right, okay, so let's kick off this comparison now and do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have both of these just in front of me, and I'm going to bring in the sort of contenders, and we'll see if any of these devices actually, we can say they actually merit being in that sort of final showdown, or whether we're right or in our hypothesis that actually these two, it's going to be between these two at the end. Let's find out. Let's see. So let me know. Chatton's talking about my earlier on my live stream. Yeah, I'm going to do some more. Oh, that's no good. I'm going to do some more in the near future. I'm going to work out live streaming from out and about because it's just fun. Yeah, we'll see, Anthony. Hold your horses on that one. Okay, so let's go for it. So the Tab Mini C, we've talked about it a bit already. It's probably going to fall off the bottom of this list, isn't it? Because I'm going to add one more into it. Okay, the only new release since has been a Tab X C. So I think we can say goodnight to the Tab Mini C. Great device. Just now getting to the point where it's not the choice of this size even, to be fair to it. So there are more modern devices. It's just a bit slow. The processor is a bit slower than it was, and revisiting it after having used more up-to-date hardware, it kind of tells the software, the hardware isn't quite there, and so is the BSR, so is the screen. You know, we'll see what comes next in that sort of size. I think it's time for a refresh of that size. The Kindle Scribe. Now, I half expected to pull out the Kindle Scribe, which I haven't touched or used for a long time. I half expected it to still have some battery life, but it didn't, so I had to charge it. I think this is still, you know, it's here, 9th place. I think it's still in with a shout, and a reason for that is because, well, for still a great, I think it's Carter 1250, is it? Still a great, I mean, that is still a really nicely performing screen. Got Wacom EMR, still a lovely place to write, as I've written there. It's, you know, it's pretty basic in terms of its functionality. But if you are in the Kindle world and you want just to have an e-reader with note-taking functionality, they've improved it somewhat. Then, yeah, for simplicity, I think you can still make a case for this. This is the first one, although really the actual device didn't change much at all. Just the color schemes really changed is all when they made a update to this. Somebody said earlier, wouldn't it be cool to have a Kindle Scribe color soft? Because the color soft is an amazing e-reader. But yeah, it's light. The battery is really good. It's a nicely designed thing. The colorways, you can get it now, are quite cool as well. It's just a good thing for what it is. The front light is great. It's just a couple of things. One thing you don't have is you don't have like easy to navigate software, and I do find that quite frustrating about Kindle. There are sometimes, oh, I didn't know they've added some AI things. You know, really, just go and give me a quote and generate some stuff like this. It probably will struggle with this. Who knows? But they've added this like AI handwriting recognition. It's the first time I've actually tried it on it. And yeah, it got the 2 words there, didn't it? Made it look like handwriting. That's text. Can I actually select it and use it elsewhere though? I don't think so. I can probably just add it as a new page. Okay, though, that's a thing, isn't it? Cool. That's that. So yeah, so as we said, aren't we lucky that e-ink devices are looked after? They're not just sort of dumped, they are improved as they go. So what next then? The next one is the Nomad. And again, after having said this, I do need to now delete A6X2 because it won't be referred to as that very often by them, and just call it the Nomad. For one, I liked the naming conventions that they had before, as they were all about the size of that. And this is my wife's Nomad. And I think if you love the idea of the Supernote and you think the Supernote's right for you, but the size is not right to get the Manta, then go for the Nomad and go for the Crystal Edition if you can get hold of it, because it's so cool. Just love that thing. Yeah. And my wife is in a sort of ideal use case, so I'm not going to show you around this because she uses it for her professional life, but you can just see if I swipe there, her quick access, look, she's got a different note for every one of her hats that she wears. That's the way she puts it, which is quite a lot of different hats, lots of different meetings that she attends. And I can tell you that those notebooks are like 50 to 100 pages long with notes from meetings essentially. And then what she does is when she has to do something, when she has to follow up something from a note that she's made in the meeting, she just selects that bit of text and adds it into her to-do list, which is that calendar button there. I'm not going to do it because it'll go to the to-do list and show you what she's got on her plate at the minute. It's a long to-do list because my wife's brilliant. But she really is a really great example for this. She's a great example of the ideal use case for this thing, or the Manta indeed as well. But she likes this size as well. You know, it works with her when she's on a computer, when she's on e-meetings, virtual meetings. It goes on the boardroom table when she's at meetings, so she can handwrite rather than use a computer. It's, you know, it's a thing, and other people notice it and they say, oh, what on earth is that thing? And she tells them how great it is and how much she likes it. Writing feel is good. It's not quite as good as the plasticky thing there as well. So yeah, it's really great. It's definitely deserving to stick with its place. Ah, the Viwoods. I knew there was one I was forgetting to get out and make sure it was all charged up. Ah, no, I know where the Viwoods is. I took it with me because they've done a lot of improvements on the Viwoods, the AI paper, and I actually think that it's really quite good. And I've just done a little update. No, I haven't quite released it yet. And just done a little update. And actually, I think it's really good. And I asked that question in my live stream. What are Viwoods going to do next in their hardware? I'd love to see them do a 13.3. And they've done a really good job of improving it. And I won't go through all of the things, but I like the fact that now you can do this in the meeting notes now. But you can AI recognize more than one page, which was a real problem before. And what you can do is you can add your own custom AI instructions. So I just did a basic convert all to text on these 5 pages. And it actually does a really good job of sending, that was only a 1-page document in the end, sending just a 1 page of that. And it's done an all right job of getting the text there. Okay. And again, wouldn't it be cool if I could just copy that out to any app? And unfortunately, you can only send it to the Viwoods apps for some strange reason, but they're going to add that as well. So I think the Viwoods is actually improving, and I think it's improving faster than one of its rivals. And I'm wondering at this point, should I move the Viwoods AI paper up 1? What do you think of that? Let me know. I'm interested by this because the Remarkable Paper Pro, somebody mentioned it earlier, great hardware, great keyboard case, fabulous looking thing. But actually, yeah, actually, I mean, even just on the case of point of just which one would I prefer to carry around with me, I think that maybe the Viwoods wins on that. I think in a way, the Viwoods kind of is the Remarkable 3. I think so. I think it actually was Vlad that said that. The Viwoods is the thin and light. It's one of the nicest paper tablets that's out there. And you compare that with this junk, you know, it still is thin and light, but it's not the same thinness and lightness as the Remarkable 2 was, where they could say Remarkable 2 at the time was the world's thinnest tablet. They can no longer do that. And although I really like all the things, I like all the remarkable methods they're calling it, I think this is all great stuff. I love that they sort of see their role in the world as not just make a new bit of hardware, but actually help you be a better professional. But yeah, I don't know. I think that maybe the Viwoods goes ahead of the Remarkable Paper Pro. What do you all think of that? I just think I think that's right. It's a controversial statement, but I think that's right. It's ultra thin, it's ultra light. It's actually got a really nice writing feel. And somebody asked me, where do I put this in terms of the writing feel? And actually, I think in terms of writing feel, I think actually this is just right behind the Manta. And I think that the Remarkable is lovely to write on because the tools are so good. I think that the Remarkable is great to write on because the writing tools are so good. I should take the passcode off before I start live streams, really, because it just gets in the way. I think that the writing tools, yeah, but and the feel is good. Everything about it is good apart from the capacitive stylus, which just means that every now and then you just get enough of a sort of surprising, enough of a, what's the word I'm looking for, enough of a jarring motion that you just feel that tiny bit disconnected. You feel much more connected. I spelled that wrong. On a whack on Myanmar. And this, a little bit like the Manta, but not quite the same as that, has the flexible top surface with the harder nib. And you've got your two choices of nib, and I prefer the harder ones here. So there we are. So yeah, I'm going to stop here. Have a quick look. Oh, yeah, so Dr. Ling says no, it's the Remarkable Paper Pro has the better writing feel. Jay says it's just useless. If only they gave us a refresh button. Yeah, absolutely. It's just some quality of life things, isn't there? I'm liking the Viwoods more too as well. Regular firmware updates makes a bigger difference than I originally thought. So what Viwoods are doing is they're improving the software, whereas what Remarkable are doing is they're sending you PDFs. Cool, but if you're going to have, let's have a little look at one example. If you're going to have a PDF, which is the value proposition workbook, why not make this sort of workbook part of an actual interactive digital kind of task that can follow along, that can kind of work with the notes that you're making as well, rather than just being a PDF that you're annotating on top of. Well, somebody asked me, oh, on these e-ink tablets, can you annotate on top of PDFs? And I said, yeah, that's the kind of core idea. That's where it all started, really. That is where it all started, but it's not where it is now. It's not like on the Manta, for instance, where you can like bring up a to-do list, you can make something a global digest item. It's not like on the Viwoods now, where anywhere you are, you can create an event tomorrow to teach my year 10 class PSHE. Leave in the notes that the topics will be about careers. And what it should do is anywhere on the device, it will go ahead and take that bit of, it didn't do it. It didn't do it. It gave me a structure rather than that. So perhaps it just can't do it from wherever I was. Where I was in paper. I don't know if it'll do it in meetings, but it did do it the first time I tried, and I can show you one that did this. Maybe I got this wrong. Here's an event, yeah, that I made by just talking to it, those events there as well. Okay, so should we try one more time? Create the event to teach year 10 PSHE lesson with careers in the notes, please. I think I've got something wrong about this here. Maybe it's not. Oh, I know what it is. It's the plus button, isn't it? Yeah, you long press this plus button here. Right. So you do need to be in the meeting planner, but you can write everywhere on this. Create an event to teach my year 10 class about PSHE tomorrow. Careers to be the topic in the notes, please. You know, and I wonder, you could then go write a lesson plan for it, maybe. There we are, Year 10 PSHE careers, teaching a PSHE lesson on that. Confirm. Can I go ahead in my AI here? I don't know what the lesson should be. Write a lesson plan on qualifications and career goals. I'm not going to actually teach it this way, don't worry. It's already planned. Write a lesson plan for qualifications and career goals for UK young people. AI assistant. No, it's not going to. Oh no, look, it seems to have done that. I think. Yeah, it's taken my little bit of text there. Oh look, it's done it. Oh wow, yeah, okay. I mean, there we go. Look, I know it's it's not we're not impressed anymore by GPT 4.40. What it can do. We know exactly what it can do, but doing that from the meetings there, and what I should be able to do now, copy, share. Look, oh, I can only email it. Look, just copy there. Can I copy? I can only paste a paper, meeting, and pickings. So that's the thing they need to change. But can I just paste it in there? Notes. I don't seem to be able to. But okay. I mean, I think we can see that's quite a useful thing if you want to use it in that way. Maybe I'd need to go to paper and write those things in, copy that into paper. But I could link that paper to that event as well, or I could link that meeting to that event. So there's great things. I think I've convinced myself that the way they've obviously thought that through and the improvements they're making, I think that we're going to switch these two around. Round of applause. We've made an actual change. And I think the Viwoods AI paper now deserves to go above the Remarkable Pro. No need to get upset. I get the feeling that many of you aren't, that many of you agree with that. But does the Viwoods AI paper do better than the Tab Ultra C Pro? And does the Tab Ultra C Pro, will that go up above the thing? And I think the writing feel is good now, is important, but I don't think it's the sort of be all and end all. And actually the writing feel is really quite good on the Viwoods as well. Okay, I'm just going to take myself 30 seconds. We're going to look at the Tab Ultra C Pro now. So let's have a quick look at my very quick, short sort of, what do they call this in TV? My bit of VT, and I'll be right back to carry on through. We're in the top half now, we're in the top 5. The Tab Ultra C Pro, that's the device to choose if you're interested in note-taking, sure, but your priority is productivity on e-ink. It's not thin and light like the other e-ink tablets, and it doesn't have a textured screen. But if you're someone who maybe needs to scan documents, and if you need a bit more processing power compared to the note takers of the e-ink world, this is the device for you. It's one of the few e-ink tablets with a built-in keyboard case. And because you've got the amazing Boox Super Refresh technology, then you've got a really great experience of typing and of using different productivity apps. Recently, I've been using this to do all my e-learning on, and it sounded great. You've got full Android with the Google Play Store, any app you could choose. But let's not forget, this isn't the core use of e-ink. And when you put it in that keyboard case, it does make it heavier and less portable. And it also is a bit more expensive than some of the other options. Awesome. Okay, very glad that you did get here though, Shad. Thanks so much for being here. Yep, we can go back to the beginning, but we're into the top 5 now, so watch the rest and then go back to the beginning would be my suggestion to you. So yeah, some really interesting chats here. Is there a super pen that works across all these devices? Yeah, I think the one that most people recommend, I'd like to give it away to somebody. Yeah, it's the Jumbo. The Stadler Norris Jumbo. I think I've given that away actually. Yeah, I think honestly, if you want the best pen, then go for the Supernote. Really, I think that's a really big thing to sway it. Viwoods is not far behind the Manta, in my opinion. Yeah, interesting one. Gallery Free is not ready right now. Remarkable launched it too early. I think you're right, Foco. I think we were all very impressed by Gallery Free at first, and it does look good for some colors. But I think the contrast is just so much better on the Kaleido 3. It's hard to see past that. So what else then? Well, we've talked a little bit about the Tab Ultra C Pro as well. I really like this device. I still get a lot of use out of it. I did that, as I said, all the e-learning stuff on it. I do think it's a nice place to go. And now with this, I don't think I need to be using this anymore. So using this slightly more cramped keyboard versus the big keyboard. The only reason to use this over that would be, well, the MR pen. But if you're handwriting, you're not going for this device. I think that maybe the only reason would be the more portability, but still a great device, the Tab Ultra C Pro. Oh, and I guess if you are someone who wanted the document scanner as well, there as well. So lots of good things. You're still using the Tab Ultra C Pro right now. The performance is impossible to beat. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I still use my Tab Ultra, so not even the Tab Ultra C, not even the Tab Ultra C Pro quite a lot, simply just because it's set up for one of my hats that I wear. I frequently wonder whether or not Gallery Free performance could be improved with a hardware anti-ghosting solution like BSR or Bigme, whatever they call it, Super Refresh. And somebody asked this as well, what's the future for color ink? Ink color is the future, but what do I see as being the future for it? That's a very good point. I think that ink are at the stage where they are sort of putting their eggs into as many baskets as they possibly can with color ink and experimenting with things and looking at what they can improve the speed of. And I think I've still got these the right order, I think. So the Note Air 4C, I mean, we still don't have a Note Air 4, which is an interesting point. Whether we'll get that soon, I don't know. But a Note Air 4 would probably logically just be the Kaleido 1300. But the Note Air 4C is still the sort of high point of Kaleido, I think. So that's why I think it sits above the Tab Ultra C Pro. And for most people, it's lost its pen, it's just sat there. For most people, I think that generally are going to want note taking as part of their core use. I think going for just something with a more note orientated screen, more note orientated form factor, because the height and the edge of the Tab Ultra C Pro just not quite as good as this for that kind of core use of e-ink. Yeah, I mean, it's just a good time. Okay, but you can see there's a little bit of ghost in there. Maybe you can't actually see that very well on the live stream. Can you see that little bit of white ghost in there? This weird thing where sometimes you can get whiter than the just normal background of the ink. I still don't fully understand why that is. But even once I've refreshed it, it doesn't go to that full whiteness. It just goes to this one grade grayer, I guess. So absolutely brilliant device. Absolutely still performing right now. It's not that old, so there's no surprises there. One of the best, as I say, for color indeed. I think I've got that in the right place. The next one is the Go 10.3, and this is a brilliant device as well. I've got it in a little mitre case, which is quite nice for keeping it that little bit more secure, but I love this one again. This one, so inexpensive as well, and just so classy in terms of the thinness and the lightness. It really is their sort of paper tablet, this. But what amazed me, what amazed us all really was, you know, this was incredible. No BSR on this, but we all didn't mind so much because the battery life was so good. What is this, Carter 1200, I want to say, or 1250 or something like that. Again, another new firmware update. You know, they really do keep things up to date. You can use all your different apps that you want to use on here. You have got a little bit more ghosting than the other guys, but nothing to worry about. If you like e-ink, you don't get too worried about the ghosting thing. And then, you know, this was like 4.6 millimeters, was it? Thin, very thin, slightly thinner than the Remarkable. And then the Viwoods came along and trumped it by 0.1 of a millimeter. But then the Note Max came out, and it's like, wow, we can do that same thinness in an even bigger device. And it's like, gosh, how can you do this? And I've been using this for some time. So that's a reference on the desk. Really very, very good. We complained about the ghosting on here, even though it does have a BSR, but they've seemed to have worked out that BSR and they've got good battery life out of it now. And I know they're due. They told me that they were going to push me a new update, which was going to improve ghosting, but it's not here yet. But the ghosting isn't as bad as it was already. So we will see. I will do a sort of another look at that when we do have the improved software, improved firmware for that anti-ghosting. I'll have another good look at that, because that was the one thing maybe holding it back, aside from the fact that it is not color. But for some people, if you're just after the core use of it, then I think maybe that you're not going to worry too much about not having the color anyway. The core use of the ink being that writing, that reading, that note taking. Great note taking feel, just like the Note F4C, and importantly the Wacom EMR here as well. So if you like a nice big space to write in, you can see how the books are all updating across the different things. So I've just written that on the Note F4C, but the Boox Max just gives you all that space. To fill with your notes. Okay, and I think you can really enjoy that. The big guy with color, of course, and that incidentally, that is not written on here. That was written on the little 7 Go 7. So this is more like it. You've still got the space, and you can still write that small and neat handwriting. Yeah, there's just occasionally something which just puts you off your stroke, like quite, you know, just something that just doesn't quite feel the same. I've obviously tried to write quite neatly on both of them there. You can tell it's a better time writing on the Note Max, but well, the handwriting, that is, it's a better time writing. If I was going to think, right, I'm going to write a serious bit of text, I'm going to write an article or write a script, I'm going to, this guy, can automatically go into that faster refresh mode, that A2, and I'm going to use the word processors on here as well. So I'm still actually torn between these, and this is the one I think that would have a case for actually coming into this kind of top 2 that we're going to discuss next. But I think I had already decided that the Supernote Manta would be the top spot over it. So I don't think that I have any evidence so far that they've improved this enough to put it over the Supernote Manta, because the Supernote Manta is also being improved as we speak as well. So it's going to be one or the other. It's going to be the Boox Tab Ultra C, pardon me. It's going to be the Boox Tab X C, or it's going to be the Supernote Manta at the spot, and that's coming next. That is the showdown. I'm going to pause and look at the chat in a second. I'm just going to reorganize these things slightly, because now we know what we're dealing with. Tab Mini C, you've gone, mate. Going to move all of these guys up 1. There we are. I'm doing this on the ink, because doesn't it show you that that's the kind of thing you should do? I could have deleted it rather than that, but top 10 as of June 25. Let's see what we're going to have. And you know, there's just nothing to bring you out of that flow of handwriting. It's going to either be the Supernote Manta. I'm going to move him away. What do I do there? It's going to be either the Supernote Manta or the Boox Tab X C. What do you think? Which one do you think we should go for? Okay, I'm going to be back in a second. I'll show you my Supernote Manta chat. The Supernote A5X2 Manta is ideal for users who are seeking a dedicated note-taking device with a focus on the writing experience. It's got a superior writing feel. I love the lightweight design and the thoughtful software features, which are just made for your note-taking. The ceramic pen nibs, they don't wear down, so they never need replacing. And it feels like a ballpoint pen on some canvas. The two touch sliders give you quick access and lots of useful shortcuts. And it's all there in a distraction-free environment in the software. It does lack a front light, and that might be a drawback if you need to read in low light conditions. People love the minimalist design and the exceptional writing experience. And Supernote have taken a really sustainable approach with a fully user upgradable and user repairable tablet. Okay, so let's have a quick look at some chat. That's really nice of you to say, Jason. Yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm repeating myself. Focko says Tab X C in all ways. Let's have a little look. What's the poll saying at this point? Yeah, a lot of them, if it's an Android and it's got a mic, it'll probably do that just quite well. Yeah, you can use any keyboard app that you want to use. The Manta is still coming out. It's not been that many, 38 votes so far on that poll. So if you want to head on over to the poll on my community tab, the Manta is definitely in the lead on that. 45% plays 13. Viwoods and Manta, they both use the plastic Mobius display. I think it goes towards a better writing feel. Yeah, it does. Absolutely, yeah, the plastic is quite nice. Supernote just has the best note software. Viwoods could like make a close clone. Yeah, I think that what the Supernote has is the stationery, basically the really nicely feeling pens and things like that as well. I think Remarkable Paper Pro deserves more credit because their software, mobile and desktop app. Yeah, there is true that and I do say that, it is true that their software, Android, iPhone, desktop is quite good. And I don't think that Supernote have that quite as good as they do in terms of their cloud. Viwoods is cheaper than Manta. Good at the value. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, it certainly is the Boox Tab X C, and the Supernote Manta is a similar price to the Boox Max. So if you want to just go for green, then go for the big screen. You know, like absolutely. What do I think of the Note F3C? I don't think that's worth doing. The Note F4C was improved, but Voyer even preferred the colors on the Note Air 3C, and he chose not to upgrade to the Note F4C. So I don't think there's a big enough. If you've got a Note Air 3C, then love the one you're with. Really, it's still absolutely brilliant. I would have leaped on a Note F4 with Carter 1300, the same SoC and whatever anti-ghosting driver solution used for Go 7, which is frankly incredible display-wise. Absolutely agree with all of that. Certainly could be the thing to do there as well. What's this? Oh, a super pen. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I think that there are a lot more alternatives. I just don't think that we always get them available here in the UK and the US, really. Cool. Let's have a little look through. Tab X C, sorry. Yeah, read movie pro 2C. Okay, that's an interesting one. I haven't tried that one yet. I always learn how good it must be for kids when doing devices get given to him on a almost weekly basis. I haven't had a new one in a little while, but I mean, it's still absolutely brilliant to play. Yeah, okay. It is quite good, and my family and friends are benefiting from getting given them as well. I just gave my Tab X to my cousin, who is a school leader in primary school, so she's enjoying using that. I think really great thing still. Remarkable Paper Pro's terrible typing experience without the photo keyboard. Yeah, it is. It's a really nice place to type. I'm not denying that at all. Readme Pro 2C is years old, has an awful screen, and for 2025 Android 9. Wowzers. Okay. Certainly, again, Readme, not something that I've actually tried, and I doubt I don't think they're particularly in the West, are they? Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to decide between these two. It's been difficult for me to decide. I think I'm almost there, though. What do you guys? I'm going to, you know, maybe there's something you can still persuade me either way. But I think what's interesting to me is that the difference between the top ones is actually not getting bigger. It's actually getting smaller. I think this is really, we're very lucky at this point in e-ink. Because we are getting to the point where actually the sort of top, yeah, all of these, actually, they're all easy to recommend. For certain people, they each have a use case for certain people, and I think that's a good thing. I think we're in a good position. We weren't in this case. It used to be there was a sort of 4 that I would recommend, and the rest were like, yeah, I don't see why you'd buy this, but I want to make a top 10. So I'm going to have 10 on the list. But now I think all of these top 10 are all really good for their own reasons. So that's an interesting point. These companies aren't companies, and you'll notice one that wasn't on here. It's still sitting over there, not touched. The Lenovo Smart Paper, I think they called it. They just built it and then moved on to their next device, because Lenovo make all kinds of things. So their R&D didn't go into making that device as good as it was. They just sort of thought, well, we might as well have one in our lineup. People will buy it. And it was terrible. It was absolutely awful. So none of these companies do that. They're all giving regular updates and improving the experience after you bought them. And that is something to recommend about all of them. That's a massive, strong point of the companies. And I've discussed before, like companies having to sort of balance the development of the tech and development of the software. I think that's a fascinating thing. That they need to get that right. And I've criticized Bigme for not having the software good enough. I've criticized Viwoods for not having the software good enough. Remarkable haven't changed a thing, but they they slowly update as well. Kindle, I criticized them for not having, and they all have gone ahead and developed them. Kindle Scribe a bit more gradually than the other ones maybe, but still they've added some things. So, you know, I think the top 6 now, 7. No, I think the top 9 are all quite bunched together, and the Kindle Scribe is just a good alternative if you want to go a little bit expensive. So it really is only just the Tab X C that we need to look at as being a contender to shovel off the Manta out of its top spot. I can tell which way you guys are mainly thinking. I wonder which way I'm going to finally come out with. I have made some thoughts about this. It's very controversial with its pen. It's very controversial with it going away from a Wacom EMR. But the screen looks absolutely amazing. The performance is great over here on the Tab X C. And there's loads and loads and loads to recommend it. Yeah, you might be waiting for some time. But it's just an all-round great e-ink tablet. But the Manta, well, I think I've covered all that. The Manta, nothing gets in the way of your writing when you're on it. There's nothing jarring. It just works. You can see a fair bit of ghosting there, but I just swipe up and get rid of that. They just know how to put a feature in a certain place with a certain gesture that when you learn it, it becomes not second nature, but it just makes sense. I had an interesting comment just the other day about somebody wanting to get rid of this and move over to Boox because they said it's just not intuitive. Okay, and if you're coming from the world of iPhone, where the kind of level of attention to intuitive, you hold down there, it wobbles and lets you kind of know that there must be something if you sort of do something, move it across here or something. The intuitive nature of the interface on the iPhone, for instance, has changed tech massively. That was really influential. It's not like that because it doesn't need to be, and it's e-ink as well, let's not forget. But once you learn what all these symbols mean and what they do, once you learn the gestures that you've seen me using to move things around, it just makes sense and it just does the job that you want it to do. Sure, there are some extra features that I would like. I'd love to see the same kind of multi-page true AI handwriting recognition going on with them. because I think their older style sort of handwriting recognition is not now working well as the sort of true AI, where it takes an image and it reads through the whole image and gives you its best guess of what you're on about. I think the generally is a place for making your notes, a place for keeping your thoughts is great. It just makes sense. So once you have gone up that learning curve, it rewards you. And somebody said, oh, but Boox is so much less intuitive than that. And it is if you're not used to Android. And I set mine up just like my Android phone. And really it's quite intuitive because I'm so used to Android. I think a lot of people will come from an iPhone and find Boox quite difficult to get around because they're just not used to where things are on Android, or even where they are in Linux, because if you have to dive into the file system, there's basically a Linux file system going on under there as well. Anyway, and the Tab X C is just amazing, but occasionally that capacitive pen, it just breaks that illusion, as I discussed. It breaks that kind of feeling that you are actually writing with a real pen, and that can be quite jarring at times. But writing, like typing on it, is absolutely great. And sure, the size is great. Yeah, it's great here, but it's not great putting in and out of the bag. So for those core use cases, the reading, the writing, and the note taking, I still think the Supernote wins, really. And the only thing is the writing, the typing that this has. As an e-ink iPad, if you're after an e-ink iPad, this is currently the best you can get. This is absolutely brilliant, but I'll concede, like, I absolutely love the way this looks. I love the way this sort of works. I love the color of it. I love lots about this, but I concede that most people will be better served by buying an iPad and a Supernote Manta, and an actual iPad that is like an iPad Air or something like that with an amazing specification now, or even the basic iPad could be so much cheaper than this. And I think there's something to be said for that. And I don't know if you disagree with me on that. I mean, I absolutely love this. I don't want another iPad in my life. I want this in my life more than I do that. But I think for that reason, I think that this has just been such a great servant. And I haven't mentioned that actually in this, but recently I've noticed just how amazing the battery life is on this. And I looked at it today and thought, as I got ready for this, and I thought, that's probably going to be pretty much dead. And it still had like 30% on it. And I haven't charged this before today. I hadn't charged this for like, must have been like 3 weeks or something like that, because it had just been coming in my bag, opened, write a note down, close it, put it back in my bag, or leave it open on that note for reference. The standby time is just absolutely brilliant. So I'm going to pick this still as my number one. I don't know whether there's any surprise in that. I think maybe if they got the drawing thing sorted out on here as well. I don't know if you have seen my disappointment video of drawing on this thing again. Again, it got laggy. Again, it got to the point where it actually crashed at one point, which was no good for it for drawing as well. This has its own drawing app on it, which is absolutely brilliant. I think if they stuck to Wacom EMR, it would be then close to perfect. And the only criticism that you could level at it would be that it would just be too big for some people. But I think if they had stuck with Wacom EMR, you could say, yeah, that is absolutely everything that you could have asked for in a tablet. It would be on the Tab X C. But the Manta, this guy just does the job. He does it quietly, he does it elegantly, and it does it unobtrusively as well. And this guy, I still think this is the number one. So let's put it back in its rightful position here, and then I'll follow into the chat and get your reaction from that. Supernote Manta, what a worthy winner that is, really. Still number one. Still the recommend for most people who want to get into using a e-ink tablet for the sort of reasons that I highlight. I still think this is the one to go for. Cool, cool, cool. What do you guys think? What do you think? What do you think? Let me know in the chat after that bombshell. Anyone remotely surprised? I know that Mal said, yes, I was wondering exactly. Yeah. Not, you were right. You thought it. You thought that was going to be at the start, didn't you? Not surprised I chose that. Yeah. So you hear my points, and it's not the one for you. You're remarkable paper pro, aren't you? It's your thing. Amazing. Yeah. Thanks so much. So what app was that? Excuse me. Using Remarkable 2, pairing with my old 2018 iPad Pro for years now. Also love for Remarkable 2 app on iPad to support Apple Pencil. Yes, wouldn't that be cool? Yeah, I don't know why they haven't done that. Probably because they think you just go ahead and use your iPad for note taking rather than pick up your Remarkable. I'm looking for a laptop replacement I can use for writing all my class notes. Also, I'm still out of luck. I think that the Tab X C would be the one for that. I think that would do it just right for you. I don't think you're out of luck at all. Chayton, I've convinced you. Yeah, you got to find out what the hype is all about, haven't you? Really, you will always find someone to take it off your hands for a good price on Adopt a Supernote as well. If you that's a Reddit sub post. Close enough for me, but I think I get it. The beta software with text box support and a huge number of other enhancements makes the Manta very compelling. Yep, absolutely. I'm interested in Supernotes. I just can't justify the price I'd have to pay for one in my location. Yeah, that is an issue that they need to solve. I think we've still got this kind of small team, still trying to do everything, still trying to put out the updates for the software, still trying to look after their old devices, trying to be a company that really, you know, deserves our backing really, and I really applaud them for that. I did wonder. I mean, when they brought this thing out, when they were on their way to bring this out, I wonder if they would even survive, because they're a very small company working very hard, I think, just to get these devices to where they are, and putting that love in, which means, you know, it's that extra ingredient, isn't it? What's the secret ingredient in your cooking? It's the love, it's the care and attention, isn't it? And that's what you're getting from these guys as well. What do I think of a new version of the Manta? So when do I think that one? I don't think it'll be anytime soon. I think that the next thing they're going to bring most likely will be an X3 motherboard. So you'll be able to upgrade the motherboard, probably with an eye to allow the thing to have better deghosting performance, and probably with an eye to allow it to have like fuller Android experience. So that's why I think it's coming next for that. We will see. And then I think there'll be a A4, but they won't call it A4 or something. They'll give it another name. Don't know what they'll call that. But I think that's a no-brainer really for them to make an A4 size one. Consider a Nomad X3 to be a possibility in the next year or so. Yeah, I do. I think that's so. Yeah, I think they won't need to make a Nomad X3, although they'll sell that as a package. So they'll make an X3 motherboard, and you'll be able to either buy that and put it in your Nomad or put it into your Manta. And then they'll also make a they'll also sell the package Nomad X3, you know, with that motherboard built in, and Manta X3. I think that's the probably thing that they'll do. What's the next best thing to the Manta that isn't a giant tablet? Well, either of these, the Go 10.3, that was my number one for a while. Go 10.3 is absolutely fabulous. That was this guy, really thin and light, but with all the apps. A Boox tablet, really, you know, definite recommend still the Go 10.3. I think it's fair that Supernote does is unique. Yeah, it is very unique, isn't it? Amazing note-taking app. All the plastic design. Yeah, just the plastic design means that it's like light to the warm to the touch, and it's very light as well. Ceramic nib. Yep. I think you agree with me. Good. Love that. Thanks so much. Kagri, is that how I say your name? If the extra board upgrade gave Supernote full play support, I would have to give serious thought switching off Boox. Yeah, that would be a big change. Yeah, interesting. Yes, the Tab X C pen is at least as good as the Remarkable Paper Pro. It's very, very similar, actually. It's even got the little shake thing in it, which I was really skeptical about, but it's not as bad as I thought it would be. And I have it on lightly. I don't just turn it off, which I presumed I'd just turn it right off. But I have it on just sort of setting 2, just quite light. I want Supernote Manta, but I have tons of data in OneNote, and I've heard it's not very good on the Manta. No, it isn't a good way it isn't a good one to use there. So what I would do is, yeah, there must be a way to export all of your OneNote out as PDFs or Markdown or something. And if you do that, then I think you could sort of store them somewhere on the Manta. Or you have to decide what you need to migrate and decide, right, at the time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of go through and I'm going to make a cull and make some decisions to keep some notes and get rid of some other notes as well. Rather than think you need to take absolutely everything with you. Absolutely nebulous. Do these e-inks have infinite scroll or infinite canvas? No, that's one thing the Manta doesn't have. The XC does have something similar to that. And the Remarkable has infinite scroll. So the Remarkable pages can be any length now, which I didn't get at first, but now I kind of do. But what this one does have is it has margins. And all the Boox tablets have this, that have the software 4.0 now. If I go into the margin function here, I can now just change the size of my page in any direction, like so. And then I can either apply it to all pages or just this page. And now you can see now I can zoom in and zoom out, although I must not have pinch to zoom on. It's the search function, not the magnifying glass. You can see how you get lost quite easily in here. Oh, it's because gesture's off. Pinch to zoom. There we go. So now you can zoom in and zoom out and move around and make yourself any sort of size of notes that you like. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks so much. Yeah, glad you enjoyed that. Thanks so much for being here. Yeah, it is a bit of compromise. Absolutely. Right. Yeah, sorry. Oh, more specific infinite scroll mode. The 4.1 software does. Thanks for that. I will check that one out when it comes. Do I think the X2's Nomad's relatively old screen, Carter 1100, is enough to consider waiting for an X3 in case it's more than just a mobile upgrade? Oh, interesting one. No, I have no issue with that screen actually, because I think because it's flush and it is still 300 ppi, it's slightly lower contrast, but I don't have much of an issue. I think because it's the smaller tablets have been 300 ppi for longer than the larger ones, so I think that I wouldn't worry too much about that screen. I think that's not too bad still. Thank you so much for being here. I'm very glad to be able to be here. Get a Boox Color 7, get a Manta, and drop my iPad Pro 12.9 inch. Yes. I think that's, you know, I look forward to, for you, I really hope that works out. And I feel like what you'll probably find if you commit to it, and if you go, right, here's my advice, you'll probably find there's a point in your life when you buy those, you get the Manta, there'll be a time where you will either reach for paper, or you'll reach for your iPad, or you'll reach for your computer to do something you know full well you can do on your Manta. And you'll think, oh, I'll just grab a pen and paper and write that down. Okay. Because I don't know, I find it a bit, at first, maybe you found it a bit difficult to find your way around on this. So you decide to reach for the pen and paper. And if you do that, if you take that choice after a couple of weeks, after the honeymoon period, if you take that choice and you go for the pen and paper, you probably won't go back to the Manta. It will sit and gather dust until you decide to sell it, right? But if you don't make that choice at that point, if you decide, no, I'm going to go up that learning curve, I'm going to get to the top of it. If you do that, you will never go back to notebooks. Just never. I've tried recently to go back to notebooks. It didn't happen at all. Awesome. Thanks so much. Yeah, thanks for that, buddy. I will. Thanks so much. Thanks for being here. Good comparison. Glad you've been here. eNotes I prefer as limited features. Whew. Yeah, I mean, if I was going down the limited feature route, then I would, well, I mean, if we're not going to consider the Supernote as a limited feature route, then if I was going down the limited feature route, I would have the Remarkable. I'd have the Remarkable over the Scribe, for instance, which is the other limited feature one. That is the terminal, and it's good. You can see another video on that, Jason. And thank you all. Good evening to you all as well. I'll see you next time.